Hello everyone, and thanks for watching today. I have a fun card that I wanted to share with you. First of all, I'm taking some of my distress inks and just blending them on. Right now I'm using cracked pistachio. Just blending them on really lightly. I did speed up the video here just to help move things along. So I'm taking cracked pistachio and blending it on the bottom. And then I'm going to be going to, this is peacock feathers, and bringing that in the middle here. I'm blending those colors together. And then the last color here is, I believe, Mermaid Lagoon. And I think these three colors just really work well together. You go from the green of the cracked pistachio to kind of a blue-green of peacock feathers, and then a nice blue color there with Mermaid Lagoon. So I'm just blending those three on, getting them to look nice. And then when I was happy with my colors there, I'm taking some of my Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist in Pearl. And then I'm just going to spray that on my distressed ink background and get the inks kind of moving a little bit, and it also adds a really nice shimmer to the background. Now, distressed inks are reactive with water, so the Glimmer Mist does get it moving a little bit, but not as much as if you would have sprayed it with some water. I was happy with the look though, and I really love the shimmer that it gives, so I'm just drying it off here. I'm not too worried about my paper curling because as it dries it will flatten out, and I'm also going to be doing some embossing on it, so having it curl is not really a problem for me right now. So now I have my background all dried, and I'm going to wipe up my area with my old craft towel, and I'm laying it down, and I'm going to be getting my honeycomb embossing folder here, and I'm just going to open it up, and you'll see I'm taking some Tattered Angels chalkboard Glimmer Mist. This Glimmer Mist is a little bit more opaque than the one I used before. I'm going to spray some on the inside of this folder, and then when I put my distress ink background down, it'll just give it some more color and some more shimmer. Trying to get some big splatters out of the bottle there. Now I'm going to take my background and just put it down face down into the chalkboard Glimmer Mist, and then carefully run it through my Sizzix. So now I've run it through my Sizzix and I have it all embossed, and I'm going to pick it up, and you can see that the chalkboard Glimmer Mist is kind of light in the background, but you can kind of see where it's pooled and made some nice splatter marks with the embossing. So now I'm just wiping off my embossing folder, and I'm going to get rid of that towel. And I went ahead and I dried my background a little bit and set it aside. Now I'm taking this stitch journaling card from Lot Fawn. I ran it through my Sizzix with some vellum. You can see that it gives it a really nice stitched border. And I'm going to be using it with my Avery Elle's Hipsterpotamus stamp set. This is just a really fun stamp set that you can make some really fun cards with it, but it also has a birthday sentiment and another sentiment. So it's a smaller stamp set, but it has a lot of versatility to it. So I'm using my Versamark ink, and I'm going to be stamping my Hippo in my Versamark ink so I can do some embossing. It off with a baby wipe before I put it back in the packaging, and then I'm going to take the little bird that comes with the set too and just stamp that right on his back. off that stamp as well and put it back. Now I'm grabbing a piece of scrap paper to put behind my vellum, and I'm taking some white embossing powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle that on where I stamped, and I'm going to get a nice embossed image here. Putting back my extra embossing powder back into the container so I can save it and use it again. And now I'm grabbing my heat tool, and you want to make sure that your heat tool is nice and hot before you bring it to the vellum, because I really don't want the vellum to warp very much. So I'm just going to hold it on there right until it starts to melt, and then move it around, and I don't want to hold it there too much longer. So that's it. So now my image is all embossed, and I'm just waving it around to help it cool. And next, I'm taking my Tombow Mono Retro Correction Tape, and I'm going to be adding a little bit of this right under the hippo. And I'm taking a piece of scratch paper and just getting it started there to make sure it's running smoothly. And I'm just taking and slowly running it across the bottom. I'm going to put a few strips on together to make a nice wide area to do a little bit more stamping on. I'm not too worried about it getting on perfectly straight, because I'm going to do a little bit of distressing with it a little bit later on. So now I'm going to take one of the sentiments from the stamp set. I'm using the sentiment that says Hippo, Birdie to you, so it's kind of a pun on a birthday card. And I'm using my VersaFine Black Onyx ink. This is a permanent ink, so it should not run with water or anything, and I just want to make sure I get a nice crisp image when I stamp. So I'm making sure all my letters are inked up, and I'm stamping it right over that correction tape. And the correction tape works really well for stamping over, I thought. I mean, it held the image well, and it didn't smear or anything when I stamped it. So I really like that technique, and I'm probably going to be using it again in the future. So now I'm just taking a scissors, and I'm going to scratch off a little bit of the correction tape and just give it a little bit of a distressed look. I'm trying to be careful not to scratch off the sentiment. And now I have my sentiment done, and I'm taking my white cardstock base and the background piece that I used, and I'm going to adhere it down, and I'm going to do this using my Tombow stamp dot runner. This is a really nice adhesive. It puts down a strip of dot adhesive, and it holds really well. So I'm using this on my card today, putting it on the back so I can adhere it down to my card base. And I did cut my background down to be a little bit smaller than my card base. So my card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and the background I cut down to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. So that will give me a nice white edge around the colored piece there on my card. So now I have my background adhered down, and I'm using my stamp runner again for this piece of vellum. So I'm going to put a strip of adhesive behind the correction tape to kind of hide that adhesive. And using vellum, it is kind of hard to hide your adhesive, but this stamp runner worked well, because as you can see, you can hold it up to your paper and push down on that pink part, and it'll just stamp a little square of adhesive where you need it. So I used that on the top 2 corners, and I thought it worked well with kind of making the adhesive a minimal showing through of the back. So now I'm trying to line it up on my background and adhere it down. And I wasn't quite happy how it lined up. So the other good thing about this adhesive is it is repositional at first. It gives you a little bit of time to move your stuff around and position it where you want it to before it dries and then adheres permanently. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility when you're trying to get things adhered down just right. So then I was happy with where it was adhered, and I'm going to come in with a few more details. So I'm taking some of those fun accessories from the stamp set. I'm going to put on some hipster glasses on our Hipsterpotamus using my archival, my Onyx Black ink again, Versifying Onyx Black ink, and I'm stamping his glasses right over his eyes and wiping that off with a baby wipe. Excuse me. And then I'm going to take his fun little bow tie here and stamp that on as well. I thought adding some black accessories would make the black from the sentiment stand out as well. And then wiping that off too. Now I noticed after stamping that the ink did not quite cover the embossing lines, and I'm showing you that now. You can still see where it didn't quite cover it. So I'm going to come in with my Tombow Monotwin Permanent Marker, and I'm just going to go over those spots where I wanted to fill in with some black. Now this marker is really nice because it has two sides. It has one side that is thicker and one side that is a little bit thinner. So I'm using the thinner line just to get a nice crisp image and filling in some of those spots that didn't stamp completely. So now I was happy with the stamping and filling in the images so it looks nice and crisp. And that's almost it for the card, but I did want to do a little bit more detail, so I came in with my Wink of Stella. This is silver, and I was going to brush that on the hippo just to give him a little bit of a light gray color and some more shimmer. And I really liked the look that this Wink of Stella gave to the hippo because it's not an opaque color. You can still kind of see through to see the background, but it did give him a little bit of a light gray color and some really nice shimmer, and I thought it just tied the card together well. I am trying to be careful not to smear any of the ink because being on vellum it takes a little bit longer to dry, so I didn't want to smear it around and mess up the image. So then I was happy with that, and that pretty much concludes for the card today. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I can get some more videos out to you soon. So hope you enjoyed. Thank you, and have a great day.